Hey y'all. So I just wanted to come and have just like a little chit chat tonight. Just here on my regular FaceTime camera on my laptop and pull up a couple of clips of Miss Tiffany Red and Elsa Majimbo talking about issues concerning celebrities. What better thing to do is talk about how you have celebrities being exposed, child. So I just wanted to pop in first because I don't start off with my face. I start off with Tiffany Red's video, and then we're going to talk about it. We're going to watch what Tiffany Red has to say about Beyonce and Tamar Braxton and all the girls who have taken publishing credits when they haven't even written a song. And she's just exposing the industry a little bit and giving her take on things. And we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to move on to Elsa Majimbo and talk about how she's exposing Naomi Campbell. Like, what in the world? Naomi Campbell coming off like a little predator. So yeah, I just want to come and introduce myself, say hello. My name is Diamond Monet. On this channel, we like to talk about everything in culture, pop culture, society, TikTok issues and problems, everything, girl, vast and broad. And I would like for you guys to definitely subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed for more videos like this. And let's just get into the clip with Tiffany Red.
Yesterday, I posted some commentary on the conversation around Beyonce and album of the year. And so I just want to clear some things up real quick. So my name is Tiffany Red. I am a songwriter, a Grammy-winning songwriter. I have been writing songs for 17 years. I've been in the music industry my entire adult life. I'm the founder of the 100 Percenters. I run a nonprofit, and all I do.
In the heart of Gaza, where hope is a precious rarity, every meal we give means hope for.
Is advocate for the compensation of songwriters. Why? Because I was a songwriter and I walked away from the music business because of the things that I speak about. So I have extensive experience. Almost all of my friends are in the music industry and write for your favorite artists like a Beyonce. So I'm not up on the internet just talking shit and making things up. I'm not stupid. I ain't trying to get sued. That's called defamation. I am not defaming anybody. I am coming to y'all with things that I can back up. I don't never get on this platform and talk about shit I don't know. I be having, you see this thing? I am organized, honey. Okay. Y'all might not think that because you watch me on the internet and you don't know me like that for real. You only know the front facing Tiffany Red, but like, I got a brain. Okay. Secondly, almost every artist that I have ever written for has gotten publishing on the record. Almost every record that I have done, I have written when the artist was not in the room. I'll go through my own songs. Replay. Zendaya got 10% of the publishing, I think. She did not write on the song. She didn't. That song was written at a Rihanna song camp. It was on hold for Rihanna. Then it was on hold for Rita Ora. Famous came to me and said, yo, Tiff, there's this artist named Zendaya. We should cut Replay on her. So Zendaya got publishing and writer credit. She did not write on Replay. King by Tamar Braxton. I wrote and produced that song. I wrote that song for myself as an artist. In my living room. Tamar got, I don't know what she ended up getting. I think I own like 85% of that song. But I should own all of it because I did all of it. She didn't write shit. Seven Streeter, who's a songwriter. This one really hurt my heart. Seven Streeter, just being honest. Me and Mansour did that song. It was originally called Bitch. I wrote that song by myself. I'm not even really a big co-writer like that. I prefer writing songs by myself because I don't know. I just prefer to write like that. So I have a lot of records that I have placed that either have one co-writer on or that I've written solo dolo, right? Seven ended up with 10% of that record. I fought like hell for her to not have any of the publishing because she didn't write anything on it. Publishing is my only source of income. I didn't even, and by the way, none of the artists that I've mentioned have a career anything close to in music Beyonce. None of them do. But the reason why I'm bringing up my experience with every artist or almost every artist that I've worked with that has taken publishing that they did not earn on the songs that I wrote for them is because there is a precedent that's set. The reason why I called out Beyonce is because Beyonce is the Michael Jackson of our generation. And so if there's anybody that could reshape the precedent, if there's anybody that could influence the industry, that had the power and the money and the cultural thing to say, you know what, y'all, you're right. These songwriters have been out here. We've been in the street, literally. I have been in the street in front of Spotify. I've been in front of Universal. I have sat and I have talked to all y'all publishers. I talked to y'all publishers. I talked to the DSPs. I talked to the copyright royalty, the U.S. Copyright Office. I talked to NMPA. I talked to RIAA. I talked to SONA. I talked to NSAI. I talked to all of them. And guess what? Y'all are still broke. Okay? That's the fucking truth, right? Okay? So the people that are like, oh, this is not true. I had somebody call it propaganda yesterday. It's not fucking propaganda. The reality is there is no A-list artist, B-list artist, or C-list artist that's not taking publishing, because that is the way the music industry works. And to deny that is delusional. And what I will not allow is for anybody to make me feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone, because I know I'm not in the Twilight Zone. I can pull up my records. I talked to somebody yesterday, a manager of somebody who is a writer and producer on Renaissance, okay? The record is one of y'all faves. The song was written 6 years before it got to Beyonce. She got 25% of the song. I've talked to another writer who wrote and sang on one of your favorite songs. Credit not right, all kind of shit fucked up. His business still isn't handled. Beyonce was on tour last year with that record, with that person's vocals, all that. I'm not crazy. And here's the thing. The reason why people who work for Beyonce don't talk is because they're all on NDAs. Because that's also how she works. She silences people so that nobody can speak. I'm not a writer that's written for Beyonce. I haven't shot my shot at Beyonce because I'm not willing to give her any publishing. Not because I haven't had the opportunity. I've had the opportunity to work with everybody. And I've turned down a lot of stuff because I'm not willing to play these games. There's a massive power dynamic happening. Please don't act like it's easy to negotiate with Beyonce and her team, because it is not. If that was the case, there would not be so many people coming to me like, Tiff, this is how much was taken. Shit is not negotiable. It's not. These are the terms, which means, okay, cool, then we work for you, Beyonce. So that means you're an employer. But either way, to imply that the artists do not have to be responsible for the business practices that they exercise with songwriters, to insinuate that the only way you are treated fairly is if you are managed by one of the gatekeepers is bullshit. It's bullshit. You shouldn't have to be in company with a gatekeeper to be treated fairly. You should not have to have a gatekeeper on your team to make a livable wage off of music that is making people billionaires. Them Grammys don't pay the bills. Those plaques do not pay the bills. There are people with Grammys and plaques who can't pay their rent. I know people who are super accredited, broke. It means nothing. Trust me, I know. remember having a conversation with a writer who wrote on, what was the record Beyonce did after or before Renaissance? I can't remember, whatever the record was. I remember talking to one of the writers and talking to them about how much of the publishing she was taking. And this writer was like, look, Tiff, I don't want no smoke with me. Like, I just let her take the publishing. That's bullshit. All of these writers that you guys see celebrating in the studio with these artists posted up in pictures like, yeah, everything is all good. Those writers are being exploited. Those writers' time is not paid for. Their services are not paid for. Their contribution to the sound recording is not paid for. Their first use of the copyright is not paid for. Their fucking parking is not paid for. Their fucking lunch is not paid for. That's the truth. The truth is that we work in an industry that proclaims it makes billions of dollars, but can't even buy you fucking lunch. But I'm tripping. But I'm tripping. No, they're tripping. And you're tripping if you with them. There's people that are like, didn't nobody have no gun in your head? The gun to your head is the power dynamic. Think critically, y'all. The gun to your head is the power dynamic. The gun to your head is your livelihood. The gun to your head is being excluded and ostracized and retaliated against for even trying. That's the gun to your head. They don't need to put a gun to your head anymore because they control everything. That's the gun. You being silenced, that's the gun. And you know, the thing that burns me up the most about Beyonce, and this is why I'm speaking about her specifically, is because Beyonce is Queen Bee. Beyonce is a Black artist. Beyonce represents Black excellence. Beyonce's team, like the people who work with her, these writers that I'm talking about that are exploited, they're us. You know what? It's so funny because when I think about my own career and all the people that have fucked me over, it's been my own people. Because those are the opportunities I had to work with my people. And this business is a racist business. So if you're Black, you're usually put in R&B and hip hop with artists that are Black, creatives that are Black, executives that are Black. And you know what your people do to you? The same thing them white people do to you. And we pedestal them like goals. That is not fucking goals. Capitalism is not goals. That shit is not cute. Capitalism is rooted in chattel slavery. That's the foundation of capitalism. To be a billionaire, you have to exploit labor. That is not the shit. It's fucking disgusting, is what it is. My comments about Beyonce not winning Album of the Year and me saying, you know what, maybe karmically it's not coming to you because of the way that you're doing creatives, I meant that with everything in me. I hear the racial discussion and all the things, and I think that that has its place. But this has its place too. It does. And they all can exist. Beyonce could absolutely reform her business practices. Beyonce could absolutely reform Parkwood's business practices. It's a decision. It's a fucking choice. It's a choice to take 25% of publishing that you didn't earn. That's wage theft. That's what that is. That's bullying. That's abuse of power. That is the power dynamic. That's the gun. People out here think they're going to lose their opportunities, lose their jobs, lose their relationships, lose everything trying to negotiate. And y'all fucking know that shit. And to act like that's not the case is so, like, for me, like, that's the shit that gets me riled up. Like, people are always like, oh my God, why are you not scared? Because I'm fucking mad. What you're not going to do is try to make me feel crazy, because I know I'm not crazy. I'm a songwriter. I have lived this. My friends around me live this still. I hate it for them. There are artists that are A-list artists that can lead the charge here too. I'm not saying wait on Beyonce. I'm not. But I am going to say what I need to say about it, because for the last almost 4 years now, I have had so many writers come to me about her specifically. And I also want y'all to know that, like, I'm not the kind of person that comes to the internet first. I come to the internet last. I come to the internet at the end, when I've tried everything else I could try. So trust and believe, on the back end, I've been doing a lot when it comes to this conversation and who I'm having conversations with and how and all the things. So I've been doing what I'm supposed to do. And nothing has gotten done. People splits still aren't done. People still aren't getting paid. People still aren't being seen. People still aren't being heard. People are still being silenced. People are still under NDAs and some more shit. While Jay-Z's up there on Sunday talking about why it's not fair Beyonce don't got a Grammy for Album of the Year. So hell yeah, I had something to say. Because it's hypocrisy. Also, not for nothing, Taylor Swift is a songwriter. She writes her albums. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a lot to unpack. That's a lot to unpack, and I'm not going to unpack the whole thing, but I do want to sit up and talk about some of the key points that Miss Mama's made. And one of the main points being how Beyonce's slick needs to change. Ain't no slick to it. She basically verbatim said Beyonce needs to change her business practices. It's like out with the old way, in with the new way. Beyonce, you real sketchy. Beyonce real greasy around these here parts. And then what make it worse is you make these artists sign these NDAs and they can't even speak about the decisions that they have made, because a lot of times it's being starstruck. You know what I'm saying? You know how when you starstruck, I've never met a celebrity, so I haven't been put in a starstruck situation, but I can only imagine one gets invited to a Beyonce writers camp. One goes to the writers camp. One writes a song. One's song gets picked for the album. Next thing you know, you got bragging rights telling everybody, listen, my song finna be on Beyonce's new album. Whole time you're not even thinking about the end result. It reminds me of that guy. What is his name? It reminds me of the Lion King song. I just can't wait to be king. The whole thing. What is his name? Jason Weaver's song, the song on the Lion King called I Just Can't Wait to Be King. And they offer him a certain amount of money up front. He was a little boy, of course. His mom said, no, we'll take the residuals or whatever, the royalties. And he has made more off of that song over the years than he would have made if he would have took the money up front. So I know it's about having the appropriate business savvy mentality, maybe the appropriate management or representation, but also we have to go back and think about the person who is up on this pedestal this high. Beyonce is really high up on a pedestal. Everybody adores her, everybody admires her. So you would expect her to have a specific type of integrity, because she is the people's queen. She is a musical sensation. Like Tiffany Red says, she is this generation's Michael Jackson. So you expect her to just have a great mindset when it comes to working with other people, especially her people. But that's clearly what's not what isn't going on or what isn't happening. And so you know what they say about the age of Aquarius. All right. Right now, the age of Aquarium marks the thirst for change and a profound shift in the consciousness of humanity. As we move from me to we, there will be new paradigms of how people can live together in peace and equality. So that's all we're interested in right now as a people, especially as a conscious person who is more, I hate the term woke, but who's more woke than others. You're more conscious of the things that's going on around you, and you want to share what's not going on right, and you want change. So there can be all types of conversations regarding, well, why are they saying something now? Why are they speaking up now? Because at one particular point you couldn't. And people are getting tired. And I feel like everybody is due what they are owed in this business, especially if, okay, yeah, we know you sell a song to Beyonce. Beyonce is going to make it a hit and it's going to get played over and over and over. But Beyonce clearly still kind of has that mindset where she's the queen. She wants all the bragging rights. But if you look at what Tiffany said, listen, y'all have got to remove the stand out of it and think about what Tiffany is really saying here. Beyonce is highly upset that she has not won album of the year ever in her career. But when you look at it, come on, God does not like ugly. One, karma begets karma, good begets good, bad begets bad, mediocre begets mediocre. So you have to now start looking at yourself. What is it that I'm not doing right? Beyonce is an exceptional artist, amazing, wonderful, talented, gorgeous, beautiful, has longevity, everything. But something ain't right. Something's not cleaning the buttermilk for sis to not have one album of the year. And this might be one of those reasons why she has not done that. Like, we got to start thinking, like she said, critically. I am a critical thinker. I realized over the last few months, over the last couple of days, over the last 24 hours, over the last 2 hours, that thinking critically people will not like you for thinking critically. People will not like you for stating the obvious. People will not like you for bringing up facts. They prefer innuendo to the actual truth. And that's why I applaud Miss Tiffany Red for coming out and speaking of this, because this is the type of information that I like to know. All the other stuff, y'all can miss me with all the other bull crap. I want truth, I want facts, and I want to know what's really going on in the industry, like the real deal Holyfield. And you have to applaud somebody for being able to come out and speak of a powerhouse that is Beyonce. Like, are you kidding? Like, some people could never, clearly, because nobody has ever. It's all just spoken of in the distance. And then I also watch Expressive's channel where she said, Beyonce, you need to probably take heed, sister. You and Jay-Z, people talking about y'all in these streets, you think them NDAs gonna save you, but you can't stop somebody from pillow talking and then everything getting out um word of mouth. So clearly people who are voting at these Grammys and everything like this, the music is undeniably good, but your character, sister girl, is the issue. That's coming, like, that's the problem. That's the issue. So I enjoyed that. And I also want to touch on another thing. So let's kind of segue into Miss, what is her name? Elsa. I want to talk about Elsa. I want to say her last name is Majimbo. Um, and her story regarding Miss Naomi Miss Naomi Campbell. All right, this is another doozy of a story that I want to discuss. Anybody watching this video, I hope you discuss it with me. So I'm gonna go ahead and take myself off camera, turn my microphone off, and share my screen.
So, in December 2021, no, in December of 2020, Naomi was coming to Nairobi to do some shopping. She was on holiday, but on a remote place. So she was in Nairobi doing shopping. And I texted her and she told me she's in Nairobi. So I was so excited to meet her. She was the first celebrity I was ever going to meet. Guys, I was to the roof. She texted me, she was like, hey, I'm here. She texted me the location. I went directly. I went with my brother. So my brother and I, we met her, we did some shopping. And as we're shopping, she's like, oh, the plane that's taking us back actually has couple more seats. Do you and your brother want to join us on holiday? Hell yes. So I was like, oh, that would be so lovely. But I texted my dad, I said, hey, get the car ready. I'm coming to the house. We are going to the airport in an hour to meet Naomi Campbell so she can take me on vacation. So we go on vacation. We had like a very nice vacation. Naomi took care of me the whole entire time. We were staying on the beach, we're doing this, and then like this, that, eating, just having fun, what people do on vacation. And this one time we were on the beach, Naomi was like, oh, we should do a documentary, a film about you live in Kenya. And I was like, oh yeah, that's fantastic. She introduced me to a couple of people in Hollywood. It was so lovely. So a couple of people, she was on vacation, were coming to Nairobi after the vacation. They were staying at the Kempinski. So I went to see them at the Kempinski when the whole thing was over. So I sat down with them. I was talking to one of them, and one of them was like, oh, it's so, like, how did you meet Naomi? And I was like, oh, no, I texted her on Instagram, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, yeah, she told us, like, she made you and she built you and she made your career. And I was like, what? No, that's not what happened. And I was like, you mean like helped me and like promoted me? And she was like, no, like what you have is because of her. And I was like, oh yeah, no, that didn't happen. It is very important you remember that part later. Okay, so time goes by. March 2022. We have jumped into March 2022. I get a phone call. My phone is ringing. Naomi Campbell. Oh, so I pick up, I'm like, hey sis, like, how are you doing? And she's like, Elsa, how dare you? Oh, so I'm in shock, right? I'm in shock. I don't know what's going on. So let me tell you what happened, the context of this phone call. So I had just finished the previous year, I'd done a documentary on my life, about bullying, about growing up with colorism, all these things, about comedy, where I fell in love with comedy. So the film was debuting at Tribeca Film Festival, and someone from Tribeca asked Naomi if she's coming, and Naomi thought the film was the film she had suggested to me on the beach about me leaving Kenya. So I was like, no, that's not what it's about. I tried explaining to her, and then she was like, I'll sue you for the rights of this movie, and I'll win, right? So I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm telling you, it's not about that. So I tell her, let me call you tomorrow. And she asked me, like, why didn't you tell me when I told you at the beach? And I was like, you're Naomi Campbell. Like I was starstruck. Like it took me very long to like process that moment. And I was like, I'll call you tomorrow. So the next day I had a flight. The flight I was taking from Botswana to Ghana, where I met that guy, actually. That's the time I was taking that flight. So I was supposed to call her the next day, but it was a 22-hour flight. And in Ethiopia, there was no service. So I couldn't call her. So I called her the day after. Immediately, I landed in Ghana. So she's the first person I called. I'm like, hey, blah, blah, like, are you free to talk? And she tells me, you were supposed to call me tomorrow. You were supposed to call me yesterday. You didn't call me yesterday, which she was very right about. And she said, I have the Met Gala. And she was like, this is the last time I'm speaking to you. Have a nice life. And she hung up, which I was very saddened by the situation, right? But I was like, if that's how she truly feels, because I respect people's space. So I was like, if that's how she truly feels, fine, it's okay. So I let it go. So after that, like a few months, things started going very badly for me. Things started going haywire. And I didn't think it was, I thought it was because of the situation. Let me not. So in December of 2020, also it can be sure. So I was like, let me go, because also having someone like Naomi Campbell not liking you in the industry is not a good thing. So I went to her, I apologized. I'd already apologized when the situation had happened, but I went and I apologized again and again. I started calling her, I started texting her. And then one day she just texted me and she was like, stop calling me. I have a child to take care of. So after that, I just said, okay, there's nothing I can do about it. I started drinking. That's why I even quit alcohol. I started drinking. I started drinking a lot. Yeah. And then, because I wasn't sure why things were going so wrong, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And then a few months later, I met Edward Enifel at a party, and Edward Enifel is one of, oh my goodness, he's one of the people I adore the most. So I was like, oh my goodness, that's Edward, I have to go say hi. So I go, I'm like, hey Edward, I'm such a big fan. And he looks at me, he's like, I know you. And then he said something that made me think the situation with Naomi was causing like some of the trials and tribulations I was currently going through. So I was like, you know what, I need to fix this. So I went to one of our mutual friends and I was like, hey, please, can you tell Naomi, because I knew they were going on holiday together. So I was like, hey, can you please tell Naomi to text me? And she was like, yeah, I'll make sure, and blah, blah. So a couple of days went by, and then Naomi finally texted me, and she was like, yeah, I let that go a long time ago. I'm not one to hold a grudge. She sent me a very lovely text. She said, Happy New Year. So after that happened, this was the new year 2023. So after that happened, every single step I made, every single move I made, I told Naomi. Every single thing I did, I told Naomi. I would breathe. I tell Naomi, whether she would reply or not, I would send her a message because I didn't want what happened to happen again. And after some time, after a few weeks, I called my mom and I was like, this isn't normal. This doesn't feel healthy. It kind of feels, it doesn't feel too nice. There's nothing healthy or normal about this. And I was like, I don't want to be in a situation like this. So after that, I just decided it is healthier for me to completely remove myself from the situation and get myself out. And you remember earlier when I said my friends said, the ones Naomi had introduced me to, when they said, oh, Naomi had made you. Remember when I said that? So I just want to acknowledge that and say that even through all this, right, even through everything that happened, first of all, number one, obviously I played a part in it because I am part of the story. In any situation you are in, you play a part, you play a role, and I had my role, and I apologize for my role. And something else, when she said she made me, I'm not going to speak on that, but I will say that Naomi did give me a lot of credibility, especially when I first entered the industry. She gave me a lot of credibility. And that's not something that I can just say, oh, this happened and Naomi, blah, blah. I can't say that. She did hold me up high, and she introduced me to a lot of people. She made me feel special. She did a lot of things for me. So I wouldn't say she made me, but she did play a big role in a lot of the things that I did in that space during that time. So yeah, me and her, we're not friends, we're not enemies, we're not anything, just not really in association. So we're just strangers. Also,
Girl, there is a lot to talk about right now. Okay? So the first thing I want to mention is Elsa saying at the end, she made me feel special. She introduced me to a lot of people. She allowed me to have more credibility. Like, I'm not sharing. Okay. Like, what are you saying? Okay. So, first of all, we know that Naomi Campbell is related, or she has some sort of type of connection to the whole Jeffrey situation and the flights and all that stuff. And then as you can see in the comment section, it was like, oh, she was definitely being recruited, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't go so far as to say all of that, but there have been some tweets that have surfaced after the fact of Elsa saying that Naomi Campbell now is threatening to sue her. So if you go and try to find this video on Elsa's TikTok, the video is gone. And she decided to delete it because she didn't want any issues, any problems legally with Naomi Campbell. And one of the things she says that she wants to do is expose Elsa's text messages asking Naomi for help because there were some older white industry men who were trying to, I don't know if they were SAing her or trying to sleep with her or what. I don't know what the case actually really is, what they were really truly trying to do. But at the end of the day, that's very telling. If Elsa felt like she could text you and tell you, hey, I need some help, these guys won't leave me alone, they're texting me talking about this, that, and the other. It reminds me of Lupinta and the stories that she has to tell about what happened to her in the industry. So it really looks bad on Naomi Campbell's part, because it's like, why would you want to threaten to release this type of information when it clearly she's as a young girl asking for help? So the whole thing I take from this story is that Naomi Campbell is a sociopath, a control freak, a manipulator, and she wanted to take credit, full credit, for the rise of Elsa. Period, point blank. No one's really talking about Naomi Campbell like that. No one really is checking for her. No one cares. And maybe this would have made her look a little bit better in everybody else's eyes, because around the time that Elsa was getting popular, Jeffrey Epstein and all of that stuff was coming out, and everything was coming out about him. So it's like, okay, naturally, if I could take this girl under my wing and do X, Y, and Z with her, no one would be worried about me being on the flight log list or whatever type of accountability she didn't want to take for her part in that whole Epstein situation. It would kind of like be washed out by Elsa. That's what I feel like with that. And I also feel like she was taking the fact that this was a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed girl who has not had any taste of fame, any bit of fame, never made anyone famous, and she was going to use her and take advantage of her. Point blank, period. If you're a person watching this and you can't tell that that's the story that Elsa is truly telling, crazy, which everyone I feel like is on Elsa's side right now. Like, everybody's looking at this like, girl, please. She preyed on you just like a man will prey on you. Predator, predator, predator. And one thing about Naomi Campbell, she definitely gives mean girl. She definitely gives, if things don't go my way, I'm going to have a fit. She definitely gives tantrum. And that's exactly what she had on this young girl. This young girl who has a whole bright future ahead of her. You basically tried to like break her whole career. That was enough to break her entire career. I'm reading this book right now called The Assassin's Apprentice, and something like that happens to him in the book. He looks up to this guy, and out of nowhere he does something wrong, or he has something negative to say about something that Chade wants him to do. And because he says, no, I'm not going to do that, that's against my character, I have a little bit more loyalty than that, Chade gets upset and storms off and leaves him. And he is sick. He is sick. He's sad. He is upset. He doesn't know what he did wrong. He wish he could take it back. He wants to do any and everything in his power to make Chade happy. He's sorry. You know, it's the same thing. And it's a manipulation tactic that Naomi was using on Elsa. And it would drive it literally, duh, you heard her. It drove her to alcoholism. Like, what? Well, imagine if she would have been a driver and drinking and driving because of that. Imagine if she would have turned to drugs, you know? I just don't think it's fair, and I love the exposure. Once again, back to this being the age of Aquarius. What I just tell you guys about the age of Aquarius. The age of Aquarius marks a thirst for change and a profound shift in the consciousness of humanity as we move from me to we. There will be a new paradigm of how people can live together in peace and equality. Everybody's coming out with their stories about these celebrities. What do we say? My girl Lovely T, this is the gift. This year is the gift that keeps on giving. Well, she says that about Club Shay Shay, but I'm saying it about 2024 in general. This leap year is the year that keeps on giving. And I'm here for all of it. Point blank, period. So yeah, I just wanted to share. I come on here really because I just want to talk to y'all about these two stories that are very interesting to me, and how people are, you know, exposing all these big, huge celebrities for the nefarious goings-ons in the industry. And if I have something else to talk about, I'll be right back from the same spot in the same place, doing the same thing. I'll see you guys in the next upload. Deuces. Don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe to my channel, okay?